We have completed our analysis and are excited to share our findings with you today. During 2018, the company faced pressure on top-line growth and revenue. There was a market share loss as consumers shifted towards wines and spirits, and the beer market realized a segment shift as consumer preferences trended towards premiumization. We are seeing the craft beer market's impact on the beer industry. Overall, U.S. beer volume sales were down 1%, whereas craft beer sales continued to grow at a rate of 5% by volume, reaching 12.7% of the U.S. beer market. Retail dollar sales of craft increased 8%, up to $26 billion, and now account for more than 23% of the U.S. beer market. Here we have a visual display of craft breweries per capita. No surprise, Vermont tops the list, followed by Maine, Montana, Oregon, and Colorado. In total, there were slightly over 6,000 operating craft breweries in the United States. Craft breweries have a measurable economic impact through wholesale distribution, individual retail sales, and sales at breweries. California comes in at number 1 with an economic impact of $7.4 billion, and Pennsylvania at number 2 with $5.8 billion. Texas is also a significant player with an economic impact of $4.5 billion. These charts reflect the median ABV and IBU by state. In looking at the median IBU by state, we see clear differences in the preferred bitterness of beer. From an overall state perspective, West Virginia prefers beers with high ABV levels and bitterness more so than any other state. On an interesting note, Colorado produces the highest alcohol by volume beer at 12.8%, and Oregon produces the most bitter beer with an IBU rating of 138. The histogram of ABV is a right skew distribution and indicates that consumers prefer beers with alcohol content below the mean of 60. IBU is a bimodal distribution, and we see two distinct preferences. We see a larger group that prefers beers that have an IBU below the mean of 43, and a smaller subset that prefer a beer that is more bitter. For this group, we do see a concentration range between 60 and 75 IBUs. When we looked at the correlation between alcohol content and bitterness, we see a positive linear relationship, and our regression results indicate that the relationship between the two variables is statistically significant. These charts show the number of different styles and beers produced by state. When it comes to choice, Colorado, Indiana, California, Michigan, and Texas are the most diverse. Here we have a categorical view of the craft styles produced and see that ales tend to be the most preferred style. This table lists the top 10 craft beer styles produced. American IPAs are clearly the front runner with 409 different beers, and American Pale Ale takes the second spot with 234 different beers produced. We see that craft beers are a serious contender in the overall beer category and continuing to grow its market share. Consumers are gravitating towards the fuller flavor, greater variety, and the social aspects of the neighborhood brewery and tap house. Because of this, we do recommend re-entry into the craft beer market. Data suggests that American Pale Ales are growing in popularity since it continues to evolve. Brewers are reinventing the classic Pale Ale by experimenting with local ingredients to craft flavor profiles that push boundaries. In addition, the IBU and ABV characteristics of this style fall within our identified consumer preference area. In terms of location, the Midwest region is an ideal market. The key states in the region have economic impact ranks in the top 15, and there has been a significant shift of consumer preference towards craft beers. Our recommendation is to build a craft brewery in Illinois. There is proximity to the Pacific Northwest for fresh hops, and as we have existing breweries in Ohio and Missouri, we will be able to realize economies of scale and also utilize Missouri's distribution network. The other option is acquisition. One interesting brewery we discovered is the Anderson Valley Brewing Company. Since 1987, they have grown from a 10-barrel to a 100-barrel brew house, and they have a strong portfolio of ales and lagers, and they also entered into an exclusive partnership with Wild Turkey Bourbon, which has enabled them to create a secondary market niche of bourbon-infused beers. Their consumer experience also sets them apart. For example, they have a golf course on the grounds as well as picnic grounds that people can rent out. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to one of us.